chemistry lab. Today we're going to be talking to you about lab safety and how to keep yourself and others safe in the lab. The first thing you're going to do once you get in the lab is put on your P.P.E. Perfect! Here's your basic P.P.E. You have your lab coat and your gloves and then goggles. Another important part of lab safety is to make sure you have closed-toed shoes, your hair pulled back, and then to make sure you have no dangly jewelry. If you do wear contacts, make sure to wear glasses and then put your goggles on top of them because contacts contain chemicals that may react with the chemicals that we're using in lab. Even with all of this personal protective equipment, you must also make sure that you have no exposed skin. This includes making sure that your sleeves are long enough to cover your wrists, but not long enough so that you would bump into anything on the lab bench. In every lab, there contains a spill kit. It's important to note where your spill kit is located in your personal lab. This spill kit is for small spills only, and it contains the items that you would need to clean up a small spill. If you do end up breaking glassware in the lab, it's okay. Just grab a broom and dustpan and sweep it up and come over to the glass waste container and dispose of it. If any spill, small or large, occurs in the lab, be sure to notify your lab instructor immediately. In every lab, there's an emergency eye wash station and a safety shower. Here are where they're located in this lab. So for the emergency safety shower, you want to make sure you remove all the contaminated clothing that was exposed to the chemical and then pull down this lever and wash yourself for at least 15 minutes. You're also going to want to call 911 and alert someone in the building that you've been exposed to a chemical. This is the emergency eye wash station. If you get any chemicals of any sorts in your eyes, you want to have someone lead you over here and press on this lever here, and then it'll turn the water on and get water coming in both directions to clean out your eyes. And it's really important that you want to stay here with your eyes wide open for 10 to 15 minutes to really make sure that the chemicals are flushed out. Two other important safety equipment are the fire extinguisher and the first aid kit. Make sure to become familiar with their locations in your lab. This is an example of a fume hood in the lab. Always make sure that the lights are on and that you can hear the vent running. When working under the hood, always make sure you're working below the sash level and that whatever you're doing is behind this red line. If you're above the sash line, you'll hear a noise go off like this. Gotta bring it back down. In every lab, there's a waste container. Here's an example of one in our lab. Make sure when writing out the label for the hazardous waste, you want to write out the full name of each chemical and make sure that it's legible and you can clearly read it. Make sure that when you're disposing of chemicals, you're disposing of them in the proper waste container. In some labs, there are multiple waste containers. If you're unsure of where the chemical you are working with should go, ask your lab instructor. So what are we doing? Make sure that when you come to lab, you have your lab procedure, a lab notebook, and that you're familiar with the chemicals that you will be using. Always practice good lab behavior. This includes staying off your phone, no running or horseplay, and definitely not eating or drinking in the lab. When using a new chemical in the lab, it's important to read over the safety data sheet for each chemical and note the numbers on the hazmat diamond. This diamond is important because it allows students to know how to handle the chemical properly. The blue portion represents hazards to health, the red indicates the flammability, the yellow indicates instability or reactivity of the compound, and the white is for special notice or other specific hazards, such as if the chemical is an oxidizer, is corrosive, or is an acid. So now we're going to recap what we talked about in this video. We talked about P.P.E., waste disposal, emergency stations, and general and chemical lab safety. This is just a reminder that the things we went over in this video are just an introduction to chemical safety. You'll become more confident the more time you spend in the lab, but if you ever have any questions, make sure to ask your lab instructor because that's what they're there for. Congrats! Now you're ready to be safe in the lab.